Welcome to tying the Merkin crab. Crabs will migrate from one area to another by swimming near the surface using the tides and wind to propel them. This fly mimics a small or juvenile crab as it swims to the bottom when a predatory fish approaches them. Place a saltwater hook in your vise, attach your thread behind the eye of the hook, and lay down a layer of thread on the shank of the hook. Now we'll place the dumbbell eyes on top of the shank of the hook using figure-8 wraps. And then once I put the figure-8 wraps, I will tie my thread along the horizontal axis of the dumbbell eyes to tighten the threads up. And I'll repeat one more time to make sure that the dumbbell is on tight. And then once it's on, I will then add some either cement such as a Zap-A-Gap, or I will use a UV resin to lock the dumbbell eyes in place. I will put this on the top and bottom of the dumbbell eyes. I'm going to bring the tying thread past the bend of the hook so that I can attach the tail, which is not really a tail, it's the claws of the crab. So I'm going to be adding crystal flash to the bend, about 6 strands of crystal flash right to the bend, and I'm going to bring the thread over the bend of the hook and then trim the excess off. The crystal flash should be about 2 times to 1.5 times the shank of the hook. Now I'm going to take a brown hackles and measure them about 1.5 to 2 times the shank of the hook. I'm going to strip off the parts that I don't need, and then I'm going to tie these feathers back to back, well, front to front really, so that they splay out. And this will imitate their claws as they're drifting or swimming in the water. So I'm going to tie that also towards onto the bend of the hook so that they point up further. So when this fly is fished, the lead dumbbell eyes will turn this upside down, but these claws, these hackles, will face up. See how they're splayed out. And then I'll trim the extra stems. Now comes tying in the yarn. I'm using EP fibers for this. It's about a pencil thickness. Each piece is about 1.5 inches long, and I'm figure-8ing these onto the shank of the hook, on top of the shank of the hook. Now I'm going to take alternating colors. We tried different different colors, such as a brown or cream, or what you want to try next is like a brown or olive and cream, to try to match the colors of the crab that is local to your area. So here it is. We're going to tie the brown in right next to the cream color, still figure-8ing it. Other materials you could use is a lot of rug yarn can be used for this also. But as you tie it in, make sure you pull the fibers so that they're flat against the from the shank of the hook, pulling it out towards you and away from you, so they're figure-eighted. And I'm going to continue this with another piece of cream color. So I'll put a couple of wraps in front of it and get ready for the next piece of yarn. And all these yarn pieces are 1.5 inches long. I'm tying them right to the top of the shank of the hook. I'm wiggling the thread in between the two different color yarns, and I'm locking it in using an X wraps, so that they are on top of the shank, but they're pointing front to the sides. And now I'm going to add the fourth piece. I'm going to actually try to get 5 pieces in here. So what you do is you either have a size 2 hook or a size 4 hook. I'm using a size 4, so it's a little smaller. Next time I should actually put the dumbbell eyes closer to the eye of the hook. So I'm going to get one more piece of yarn in there right behind the dumbbell eyes to give me 5 strands of yarn in there. So I'm going to start it with cream and end it with cream. So here's the last piece right behind the eye. Figure 8 wraps to hold that in place. You know, if it doesn't work out, just pull it a little tighter, compress it, and secure it to the hook using X wraps. Now I'm going to whip finish and cut my thread. Now comes the trimming. We take our scissors, rest it along the barbell eyes, and we'll cut it at an angle. And we do this to both sides. And then what I'm going to do is round this all off to make it look like a teardrop or something round like a crab. But teardrop seems to be a good size and pattern. Then I'll try and pull these out more and clean this up just a bit. Trim just a little more, just to make this nice and round. Now we're going to tie the rubber legs. They go in between the colored yarn, and it's 2 overhand knots, but it's like an old Boy Scout square knot, left over right, right over left, or if you do right over left, then it becomes left over right. That is to make sure that the rubber legs stay perpendicular to the shank of the hook. So this is one. We got to put this in 4 times for this fly. Another thing about this fly, not only will it catch permit, bonefish, I've used this up in the Northeast for stripers, and even blues will hit this. Any fish that eats crabs will definitely take this fly. And this fly doesn't get hung up because the hook point will ride upside down. So that's another good thing for this. So when you're going through like the turtle grass, it won't get snagged. Now I'm going to take a red marker and paint the tips of the rubber legs red. And I'm going to do it to try to do it to both sides before I trim these rubber legs to shape. They should only extend out a little bit past the body. And I'll turn the fly, here I am trimming them. And now I'll turn the fly the other direction and do the same thing. So now I'm going to add some cement, whether it be UV resin like I'm using here, or you could use Zap-A-Gap, or you could use fly tire cement, just to make sure that the legs are in place and they won't untie on you. When I use UV resin, I like to get a toothpick and then pass it down, mash it down, and then hit it with the flashlight. You can take a brush and brush out the fibers, make them nice and fuzzy. It makes it nice and look appearance. I don't think it does that much, but just to help tease the fibers into place.